Good evening, everyone. Good evening, and welcome back. Welcome back to the PorscheCooled Podcast, the podcast where Steve and I talk about all things Porsche. It's Tuesday evening. This is Friday's episode. We record these a few days in advance. I've had a bit of a crazy day again because it's Tuesday. Steve, how are you?
Hi, mate. Good. How are you?
I'm sort of not exhausted, but I kind of am exhausted. I think I'm mentally exhausted.
We'll be in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm kind of mentally exhausted. You know how it is. You go up and down and it's just like too many things going on.
Yeah.
And I had to let some people down today about something, and I'll tell you that later. So I felt a bit bad about that. But there's nothing I can do about it, this weekend. But I just can't. I can't avoid it, and I can't get out of it. So it's unfortunate.
You can't do the drive?
No, I can't go. I can't go.
Oh,
I can't go.
that's a pity.
I haven't told everyone, and they'll probably hear this, but I can't go because now I have a client presentation that's come up middle of the day on Sunday, which is afternoon in Middle East, and there's no way I can
Your
get out
clients
of it.
work on Sundays?
Yep, because Middle East. Start of the working week, Sunday to Thursday is the week, so that's unfortunate because that's how we're working at the moment.
That's a shame.
Because we had to be in London to work with the AV specialists and stuff here, we will have to work Friday because they work Friday, so we're doing Friday, and then we have to work Sunday. So really the only day we get off with some peace, except for bits of time here and there, is actually Saturday. That's the only day off. But I thought I could swing it. Like I thought I had it all worked out, that I could go to classics at the clubhouse. And, you know, I told Nick, who was on the first owner stories, and I told Ajmal, and I told Nick a classic series. And then I thought I had it all worked out, and then they threw this on us. And it's just like, it's a committee one, so it's just too hard to get out of, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sorry, where was I? Yeah, so that's what's happening, Steve. Not great, but, you know, unfortunately, with all the money that I'm going to be owing shortly, work has to take a priority.
Yeah, you got to earn it before you spend it. Well, not that I kind of adhere to that, but...
Absolutely. All right, welcome back, everyone. Sorry for that ramble at the beginning. Welcome back to the podcast. This week, Tuesday today, and like I said, we're recording this on Tuesday. PorscheCooled owner's story. Steve, I'm going to get straight into it. Did you have a time to listen to it? I know I only sent that to you this morning, I think.
Yeah, you sent it to me before I went to bed last night, so sorry. No chance to listen to it, but I saw the pics, so I've got a rough idea of who you spoke to. Looks kind of interesting. Yeah,
so David was on this week's owner stories. David from New Zealand. David's got a great story. He's had a lot of cars. I think he's had a lot of cars. He did own a 993. He did own a 964, Steve. As he said, he had lots of German hot hatches. He's got, at the moment, I'm not going to give too much away because I always give too much away in these intros, but his orange car, which I featured on Instagram. David's not on Instagram, so if people are wondering how to follow him, that's why I didn't tag him. He's actually not on Instagram. So if he comes on Instagram, I'll tag the photo, but he's not actually on Instagram. But David is a friend of Paul's, and Paul was on an earlier owner stories. Paul is was the Porsche Club president of the Porsche Club of New Zealand. Paul had the 3.2 Carrera, and he had the 328 GTS Ferrari. And David has got the 1970 911T 3.2 hot rod. For the Patreon members, Steve, I actually shared the images that David had given to me for the Patreon members because I couldn't share all of them, and they were great images. And I hope, David, if you're listening, you don't mind. But the guys on Patreon really love them. I mean, that interior of that 911T, did you see the picture on Instagram? It's just like
brown,
sublime. Yeah, that interior is to me cool. Is just those seats and the carpet and the coloring, and he's just done a really good job on that car. But listen to the story. I'm not going to give away how the car started because it's a bit of a surprise, and it's interesting from where it came to where it is now. He's got that 911 SC Sport, Steve, in red, and cool. I'm not a big Guards Red fan, as you know. But the SC Sport, actually, it's an SC Sport from the UK that came into New Zealand, I think, in the 80s. But it's an 82 model. I think it came to New Zealand in 89, he said. But what's really nice about that is it's got the Pasha seats.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you know how SCs normally have... Yeah, you know SCs normally have leather seats. It's got the Pasha.
Yeah, right. How that Pasha fabric wear? I don't think I've actually... I've probably seen one from a distance, but I never really sat in it or whatever.
Did you see the seats that TGE off YouTube put into his Carrera T, his 991 Carrera
Yeah, I
T
did.
that he got
I did. From Gary.
Gary done? Yeah. What did you think of that tartan?
It's all right. I've got kind of tartan Pepita fatigue a little bit. So
I like the Pepita. The tartan, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the tartan.
yeah, I'm not.
I don't know if it suits that car properly. You know what I mean? I think it suits Aircut. I don't know if it suits that car. And I want to get onto that because this new Touring that we're going to talk about, and the Australian edition one has a similar thing. And I'm not a fan. I have to say I'm not a fan.
I think it would quickly because it is kind of quite out there. And like, obviously the benefit of all of these is that you can swap them in and out, like hence me having like 3-4 sets of inserts. But yeah, not quite sure about tartan.
Yeah, and I guess you're right. When it's on the lightweight buckets, it's not a big deal to switch them out, is it? It's a cost, but it's not a big deal. You could have multiple ones that you just switch out every day, every week, or whatever, if you wanted to.
Yep.
So anyway, David's stories, like I said, he's got the 911T, the 1970 3.2 hot rod. He's got the 1982 911 SE Sport, which is great, and he's got a Ferrari Dino. And I'm pretty keen on Ferrari Dinos at the moment, I have to say. I really like the shape of them. I like them, and then I watched that Magnus Walker video, which I spoke to David about the next big thing. I like how they're easily to service. They're an easier car to service. They're like the 328. They're a bit like the 360 Ferrari. I like his because it's in the yellow. I can't remember the exact name, David, that you told me, but the Ferrari yellow. And I know it's underrated and it's not the special one, as he said, but it's a nice-looking Ferrari, I have to say. And I love the interior of those. I love that aircraft dash, Steve, with all the switch dials and, it's all very, very, very cool.
I think it's similar to what Jason Camisa has as well, and he kind of absolutely raves about it. So.
Oh, you're right. He's a fan of the Dino GT4, isn't he?
He's got one. Yeah,
got one. That's right. He's a fan of them. I remember that now. Someone talking about that. Maybe it was Smoking Tire.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of videos of it and all that sort of stuff, and it comes up in his. I know you don't listen to his podcast and watch his vids, but
what color is his?
He talks about. Is it silver or white? I think it's not red. It's not red. It's not a bright color. I think it's silver or white.
A very nice red one has come up for sale in Balgowlah in Sydney. If I was in Sydney, I'd almost go and have a look at it. And the price is not too bad, and it looks like the guy's done a lot of work, and it's got the special... it's kind of nice at the back. It's got like a grille underneath the around the exhaust, which apparently was a Ferrari option, quite a rare Ferrari option. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a really nice one, Steve. And it's 130,000 Australian, which I think is pretty good for something, because it's in pretty good condition. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Yep. I don't know much about them, but they look cool. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's David's story. David's had lots of other European hot hatches. He's had MX-5s. He's done track work, BMWs, MBMWs. It's a good story. Take a listen to it. That's PorscheCooled Owner Stories this week with David from New Zealand. Cool. Apple ratings and reviews, Steve, just really quickly. There's only 2, right? I know there's only 2. Well, there was 3, but one of them got deleted. So I'm not going to read that one because it was deleted. I don't understand why you would delete a review. But if the person that wrote that review understands why they deleted it, maybe they can reach out to me and tell me. It's very strange, but it's showing up as deleted and it's not on Apple Podcasts. But there's 2 reviews. And like I've said before, the Apple reviews and ratings help us get noticed. It's really pushed us up the US charts. I noticed this morning we were 55 on automotive in US. Which I think is the highest we've ever been, Steve.
Yeah, cool. Nice 50, well done.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good for the US, considering how many automotive podcasts there are in the States. 2 reviews. The first one was great Porsche fodder, that word that I like, that Stephen from Sydney has used before, I think. Was it Stephen? Was it Stephen? Or was it someone else? I can't remember. Sorry. My memory's so bad today. I'm so tired. But that was from Great Porsche Fodder. That was from Lee 911L from Australia. And then the other one was the only podcast I count down the days for new episodes. Guys, you are really naturals at talking Porsche. Actually, I'll read this one. This one's a nice one. Guys, you're really naturals at talking Porsche. I discovered nice and that it's a nice story, not that the first one wasn't, Steve. Guys, you are really naturals at talking Porsche. I discovered your podcast recuperating a heart attack in December, and I've been devouring the episodes since. You guys made me fall in love with Porsche brand again, and I've recently bought a 987S with 145,000 miles and spent a lot of relaxing time working on everything from changing IMS bearing myself to changing the entire cooling system. Fantastic podcast, guys. Thank you, Andrew. That's from the Math Geek in Great Britain. So thank you so much, Andrew, and I hope you are feeling much better.
Yeah, get better. Bloody hell, that's huge.
All right, Steve. What's happening? Tell me a story.
I don't think I've got any stories for you. I've been...
Singer. Tell me a singer story. What did you think about that singer news that I sent you that Stephen, I hope you don't mind, Stephen in Sydney sent me this morning. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, so I saw the press release, that was last week. Everything happened just as we finished recording last Wednesday morning for me.
Can we touch on that?
Like about an hour later, then they started releasing all the kind of GT3 Touring stuff, which is what we'll also kind of probably talk about a bit. But then I also kind of stumbled across this sort of singer announcement where, I don't know.
Was that on the notes? Did you put that? I didn't see that on the notes, so you didn't write it down.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Just buried at the bottom because there's so much shit on there.
Yeah, can I just interrupt for a second? Steve's exactly right. Like, we finished the episode, and then I think that afternoon, the touring was announced, and it was like, what the hell? You know what I mean? So this week...
It was 45 minutes later. I think I texted it to you because as I was exporting my audio file for you, it's like, oh, that came up. It's like, wow.
Yeah. So this is the belated PorscheCooled talking about the GT3 Touring episode when everyone else has covered it the week before. But this is why it's late because, you know, the week below. But the Singer stuff, so people know, Steve, Singer is now going to be selling in Australia, correct?
Yep. Through Zagame?
Yeah, so Zagame in Melbourne, and Zagame, I think, also have a shop in Adelaide, I think. Yeah. Someone told me they're in Adelaide now as well. Yeah. And I think they're in New Zealand, are they? Because it said that Zagame is going to be doing it in Australia and New Zealand. And Zagame do like Ferrari and Rolls-Royce and things like that, I think, as well. So they've got quite a bit of credibility up their sleeve. Stephen from Sydney, like I said, who was on last week's Owner Stories, alerted me to this. I didn't see it in Steve's notes. Steve as in Steve, who I'm talking to now. But apparently there's currently a 3-year wait, and they're starting at 1.1 million AUD. Now, we all know Singers when people buy them. I think in the US, they say people spend another 100-odd thousand on options. Is that correct? Have you read that?
Is that all? I don't know. I'm not familiar, but I would have thought that by the time you kind of specify, you know, all the kind of little bits and pieces that you're really going to be racking up the options on that thing.
Wasn't it the fact that, or I don't know how much they retail for in the US as Singer, reimagined by Singer. I think I heard something or read something that most people spend about 750,000 US. So maybe they're only list price at 500 in the US, are they? I think most people spend about 750,000 US dollars on a Singer. As we know, the auctions recently, they're going for close to $1 million, aren't they, already at auction for second-hand ones?
Yeah. All the collecting cars ones have gone sort of relatively kind of crazy. Actually, and that would be without the donor car as well, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Is 1.1 million with the donor car or without?
I reckon that'd be without. And like, I'm sure they'd sort of say, we can source one for you. But like, I bet you when they first started, like, I know they kind of said, oh, look, you know, it's the perfect for us because it's the end of, you know, before the 993, blah, blah, blah. But I wonder if they anticipated the fact that 964s would become sort of so valuable. So like you're tearing apart, like, did you see another tangent, on Autohouse? There's a grey 964 Targa that's beyond, was it 250 is the asking price?
Really?
Yeah.
250,000?
It's over 200 and it's like, holy shit.
See,
like,
that's crazy because the Targa 964 was so cheap. You know
what
I mean?
Know. So going back to my point, which was like a singer, you know, like you've actually got to tip in like the 964 to kind of start with. And it used to be, you know, sort of like a cheap, more throwaway type, you know, thing that you could understand them sort of taking one and then sort of effectively pulling it apart and, you know, it's a skerrick of its former self. But now all of a sudden they're super, super sought after and they're worth like 250 Oz. It's crazy.
Anyway, so Singer, so basically Singer, founder Rob Dickinson has teamed up with Australian distributor Zagame. Apparently they've had a lot of inquiries from Australia. The article I read was in whichcar.com.au, which was forwarded on to me. And it said that Singer spokesman said they cannot confirm existing model numbers in the region, but one new vehicle is set for delivery to Australia later this year.
Yeah, right. I looked at it too.
So someone's already bought one.
I think I went to Singer's Instagram, and then the New Zealand North Island Commission had been completed. It's sort of like a olivey green colour.
I don't think I've seen that. Is it nice? I read about it just before.
Yeah, it only came up last week as well, like pretty much after we finished recording.
Oh, right. So I read that was one of the latest ones in the article, in another article I was just reading before we came online. I don't know. I think, at $1.1 million Australian, if that doesn't include the 964, I don't know. If Singer can get you a 964 from the US, it's probably still cheaper than getting a 964 from Australia, right, Steve?
But they'd be just as dear over there than they would be here, right?
Depends on what state it has to be, I guess. I mean, I've seen some at Beverly Hills Car Club, but they're still like 80,000 US for a wrecked, like not a great one. Not a great one.
Yeah, right.
So maybe that. Yeah, no, it's weird. I think it's a good thing. It'd be good to see them on the road in Australia. I haven't seen one in the flesh. Have you?
No. I'd love to come and see one. I'm sure it's special as. I bet you it looks like $1 million.
Yeah, I bet it does. I don't know. Be crazy the insurance on that. And also car related and knob related. Back to the knob again from last week. Steve's knobs. The guy on YouTube, that 911 guy, he had a video. Sorry. He had a video yesterday. Did you see it?
I did.
With the Momo steering wheel that he put in his 996. I quite like that Momo steering wheel. Yeah. Mod 7 steering wheel, the Momo one. That's quite a nice wheel, huh?
Yeah, but if you're in Australia...
You can't do it, can you?
If you're in Australia, you can't do it because you're removing an airbag from... so you would be completely fucking your insurance and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I read an article, and I'm not sure how he did it either. Because I read an article that even in the UK, you have problems when you get your MOT and when you get registered, when you have that in a car that's had an airbag and you've removed the airbag. Yeah,
you can't remove safety devices kind of thing. I don't know, like maybe there's a year kind of thing for it. Like maybe once it goes past a certain age. Don't know. I actually always wondered whether an airbag would actually kind of work after, the explosive device would work after 25 years. Because like it's the same, like 964s, it's common to swap. The later 964s were the first Porsches to come out with airbags, but you see like tons of people kind of swap it out for a prototype or Moto 7.
Yeah.
And they look great.
What's the difference between those two wheels? Do you know?
Not sure.
Does one have more
dish on it?
I thought everyone had the Prototypo one, but he reckons the Mod 7 was the better wheel.
Maybe that's got more dish on the spokes. They look very similar because they're very simple. They're cool. They're way cool.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So basically you can... so I like what he did with his with the green marker, and he changed the Momo to green. I thought that was quite cool. And then he got the puck. The puck you can get from Design 911 or wherever, the horn puck with the Porsche logo, which you can buy separately. But, I mean, I guess, if you've got an air-cooled, it makes sense to do it because, earlier air-cooleds didn't have an airbag, so it wouldn't make a problem in Australia, right? You're just changing a non-airbag to a non-airbag. But for our cars, you can't do it. So after that, of course, when I realized I couldn't do it, I started looking at the GT3 RS wheel again on
nice.
on Suncoast for what is it, $1,300 plus the cost of the airbag in Australia, whatever that would be. So I was I was getting tempted by that because I was so annoyed about spending all this money on this property situation. I thought I'm just going to go and buy something that I can enjoy. That you can enjoy.
Really expensive. What about the knob though? Did you?
So the knob is what I wanted to talk about because he got that from Stuttgart Klassiker, which he obviously got the rod from Stuttgart Klassiker as well, which I'm thinking is the same rod that's on the polycopolymer black one. It looked like the same. And you see the point he made? Because he got the wooden knob, which are the knobs, which I swear are made by the Dave Mason. I don't know if they are or not. Maybe I'm getting confused. But I thought he sold the Stug. They're not?
Because a Stuttgart Classica, and Lee Sibley mentioned it in his video. Because I looked at that
Skateboard material.
Yeah, and I don't think the Dave Mason guy does it. I think he sort of uses sort of like finer kind of timber and stuff like that. So.
Okay, but anyway, I'm hesitant to buy the Stuttgart Classica one now, and that's why I think the Lathework ones like you're getting, I'm going to buy that instead and get it shorter because you heard what he said. He said that was a bit high.
Too tall, yeah.
The shift was too high, and it made it feel like it was a longer throw, even though he had the short shift kit.
Yeah, I'm.
So that's a problem.
I'm sort of 95% sure, but I don't want to sort of. Not that many people listen to this, but I still reckon that Stuttgart Classica thing is sourced from
a lot of people listen to this. You should see our numbers. You should see our numbers. Seriously.
But yeah, and like I don't know what you think, but not only it was interesting that Lee Sibley actually said that in terms of the height sort of changing the kind of feel for it, but I reckon the proportions are all out as well. The size of the wooden knob compared to the height and the diameter of the rod itself doesn't look.
Didn't look right to me.
The ball thing looks way too small. Yeah. So I reckon it's all. I'm kind of because that was one of the things that I was worried, inverted commas, about with even the one that I've ordered from Latheworks but it looks like the proportion of the black copolymer ball compared to the actual kind of rod itself doesn't look as out as what it did on Lee Sibley's one.
Yeah. No, I think from what he said in that video, that kind of confirms to me that I cannot get the Stuttgart Classica one. So Nick, if you're listening, I wouldn't get the Stuttgart Classica one either because I think it's too tall. So I think the Latheworks one is a better idea. And in the Singer brochure that Stephen had sent me this morning, Steve, which I did share with you.
Yep.
Did you notice the gear knob they used? Did you notice? Sorry,
I think you can get that online. I think I've seen.
Oh, you can?
Seen it on their website. Yeah.
Did you notice the shifter knob on the Singer?
Which one?
It looks like the copolymer. It's the black one. It looks almost the same.
Oh, yeah, it's always been an option.
But it's black with an option. But it's black with white paint, and I know you took the silver paint option. Why did you take the silver paint option for the?
I switched mine. I switched it.
Back to white?
I went from silver to white. Yep.
Yeah, white looks better. I think you were wrong with the silver. I just didn't want to tell you.
Yeah, no, I switched it because I don't know. I always sort of thought maybe silver would look a little bit more special, if you know what I mean. But
the white stands out at night, so you can see it when you're changing gears.
Yeah, isn't it like because that type of gear knob sort of sits on old Alphas and stuff like that as well. But does the Singer one have like a little insert on the top of it?
I think so. I thought it had a groove or something. Didn't have a groove around the top, the Singer one? I think it. I don't.
Does it have sort of like a laminate over the top of it? I don't know. Like the Latheworks one that's on order has like a groove that looks like there's like a literal kind of cap over the top, but it's just a groove that's etched into the actual knob itself. Anyway.
Right. No, I think I'm definitely going to get one. I do want one. So, but I think it has to be, as much as I did like the idea of getting one from the UK from Stuttgart Classica, I think it has to be the Latheworks one. And the 1 inch shorter like you've got. Once you've got yours fitted in your car, then I'll know for sure.
Yeah, it's I know that Chris from Latheworks, he kind of sent, well, he doesn't send personal kind of messages out. He's good to deal with, like when you email him and you order everything. But I saw an Instagram post where he sort of said that he's working 7 days a week and stuff, and that he's sorry for the delayed orders because it's well late compared to what he sort of says like on the website. But for me, it's like it's cool. Like,
yeah. I just want to go back. We're talking about interiors on Porsches. I just have to go back to Stephen that's on this week's Owner Stories, actually. Oh, sorry, David that's on this week's Owner Stories. Sorry, David. That interior, you know what I mean? Like when he sent me the photos, I had one photo and I couldn't see it properly, but I really like the idea. Think about getting a 912, and that interior, that those seats in that tan leather, Steve, with that neutral ecru type natural carpet and I mean that interior. I know Singers are fantastic, but for much less money, you can do an interior like that and restore your 911 or 912 and do that interior, and it just looks absolutely amazing. I think
Yeah, it's kind of got like it's got a bit of patina to it, sort of thing. So it looks patina. It
Yeah,
looks
I
kind of
know.
good, and this has got like the prototipo wheel and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. It's
Yeah, he's done
very,
it. But that interior is just so
very
special.
elegant.
Like, I know a Singer is worth a lot more money, right? Than obviously David's car. I don't know how much David's car cost to restore, but sitting in David's car, it would be just as much of an experience, don't you think? Like when you look at that interior, it feels to me like it's a special place to be.
Yeah, it's different. I don't think you can really necessarily compare the two because a Singer really is like effectively like a brand new car. It just looks like an old thing, whereas
Yeah,
this
true.
like wood is a properly old thing, which would smell and all of that sort of stuff. But it looks, it doesn't look kind of grotty and sort of tired.
Yeah, I know.
It's very nicely done.
It looks very nice. What else has been happening, Steve? Did you go for a drive in your 997 GT3 that's appreciating by the second?
I did not. I haven't done anything. I've been homebound because the weather was awful. I wasn't so well. My daughter and my wife weren't so well. So yeah,
So no driving.
No, but there's a possible drive on the cards. Marco reached out to me last night. So maybe this Friday or Sunday, depending on how our work commitments are.
Maybe Friday's a better day to go, isn't it? Less traffic.
Depends. Sort of depends on where we're heading.
Has Marco added anything to his car?
What's he done? He bought a kit. He bought a kit that sort of helps with the often faulty spoiler rams. So I think he's going to fit that. Don't know what else he's done. He did the tires a while ago, which we already spoke about.
How your tires are okay though, right? You haven't really driven it, so you don't. But no issues with the Pilot Sport 4S.
No, none at all. They're pretty good. They're for the way I drive, I'm sort of more than happy with it. So pretty good on my books.
What was I going to tell you? Last week we were having the conversation about my dilemma about what I was going to do with my 997. Whether I should, I'm splitting the services and I'm doing that. Stephen in Sydney, who I've been chatting to, he agreed with you and said just go to Autohouse and just get it all done at once. Don't waste any time. And then just drive it. Don't whinge that you haven't done things or not done things. Just get it all done at once and then go and drive it. He even said that even for the front damage on the front spoiler, that Autohouse worked closely with Atlas. And he said, you could just leave it with them and they just take it to them and fix it while it's there. True. So you could just leave it there and just get everything done.
Absolutely true. Good point. Like, because I reckon your car's going to be off the road for a little while, and you're better off doing it that way. Like, not that I'm a mechanic, but I'm going to take a wild guess that the thing that they hate the most is somebody kind of wanting all of this stuff done, being really fussy, and then wanting it done in 2 days, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's why I want to give them a few weeks to do it. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to get
which
it
is
there.
why I sort of think that if you can kind of get your car before you actually kind of come back as well, would be ideal.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good idea.
I can help you with that.
I think that's what I have to do. I mean, I don't know whether they can pick it up to make it easier or I don't know, but I think that's what I have to do. I have to get it there maybe, I don't know, beginning of October. We won't be out of quarantine in Australia till the end of October. We arrive back in Sydney on the 14th of October or something. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Can you drive in quarantine? That doesn't really
What do you mean drive? We're stuck in a hotel. Can't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Of course.
You can't do anything. You're stuck in a rat-infested, dust-ridden, stinky hotel for like 2 weeks, courtesy of the Australian government, and pay them $3,000, $4,000 for it.
What was I going to say? Yeah, let me know, because I reckon I can help you with that.
Okay.
With the help of your brother-in-law and myself, I'm sure we can.
Brother-in-law. Oh, Adrian. Okay.
Adrian. Yeah. I'm guessing the only downside to all of that, for example, like particularly with something like bodywork, is that you can talk to Pierre over the phone kind of thing. But I'm sure, because you've not seen the damage yourself, like you probably want to actually, sort of have a conversation. But the thing about all of this is that I
will leave that. I will actually leave that.
Yeah, I just reckon because if you come back, you sort of sit in quarantine, you burn two weeks in quarantine, then you've got to do all this other stuff. And then if you lose your car for like another 3 weeks.
No, I can't do that.
It's a bit of a wasted opportunity for you.
Yeah, no, I can't. The car has to be almost finished by the time I come out of quarantine. Has to be pretty much ready. I don't mind it staying at Autohouse. Even if it stays at Autohouse, even if I put it in beginning of October and they finish it a week earlier, maybe they can just put it in storage and I'll pay for it there and I'll just go and pick it up from them. I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that'd be cool. Like when I've had sort of bigger issues with my car, like when the top end was done on the 993 and stuff like that, they had it for quite some time. But the good thing about that, I'm not sure if this happens now, but like Grant used to kind of hang on to my car, and he used to drive it, like every home here and there, in order to kind of do a proper road test and to kind of look at it properly. So that was always really good, because, and he would ask me and he would tell me. So it's a good thing, because then, like, if you've kind of got little niggly things here and there, he would sort of properly kind of sort the car out, because they've got more time just to kind of look at it and breathe it with it.
Yep. All right, Steve, let's talk about new cars. Let's talk about this Touring.
The Touring that you've got on order.
The Touring, which I'd like to have on order. I like it.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I'm not, I like it. I'm not sure if I like it as much as the 991.2 Touring. But I think I do. I think they've done a good job of it. They've still got the nostrils at the front that you don't like. They didn't get rid of those for the Touring, of course. It's still there.
Yep.
They've got rid of some of the black plastic bits.
Yep.
Price-wise, just so... Let's just
inlet thing.
Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, they just painted that really big expanse of black plastic, the air intake at the front, sort of lower spoiler kind of thing, which to my eyes looks like 100 times better.
Yeah, and price-wise, it's really weird. And I wrote these prices down because I want the listeners to understand how Australian cars are so expensive, especially for our UK and US listeners. The UK price, this is standard price, right? And I don't know if most people would get a standard Touring. Probably not. But let's just base it on the standard price. £127,820. All right? So that's about 230,000 Australian dollars converted. That's the UK price. US price, 162,450 US. So that's about 200,000 Australian dollars. A little bit more.
Yep.
And then the Australian price, and remember, we're talking about the Touring package here. I know we always call it GT3 Touring, but they always very specifically say, Porsche, don't they? GT3 are with a GT3 Touring package, with the Touring package. $326,800.
That's off the road or on the road?
That's off the road. So for the listeners listening, usually you add about 10%, correct, Steve, for on-road, roundabout?
Don't know. Yeah, I don't even know how to do the calculation.
So let's just say it's about 10%. So it's about $350,000 Australian drive away, no options, which is a lot more expensive than the UK and US, and that's because Australia has luxury car tax. All our Australian listeners know about that. And, in Australia, Steve, they have that, what do they call it? The 70th anniversary edition, right?
Yeah, they released that curiously pretty much at the same time. So in Australia, like Porsche cars have been distributed in Australia for 70 years. So they're celebrating that with this 25. There's only 25 of them, I think, is there?
Yeah, 25 cars only.
GT3 Tourings.
Go ahead.
In fish silver, which is referencing the 356 that kind of came out. So fish silver exterior. It's got like what looks like a fairly ugly little badge on the side of the car.
I have to say, me, I'm going to be one of these people that people are going to hate if they like this, because I have a problem with this car again. This is like the other one they did. What was that other one they did, and I made fun of the sill guards, where it was all the text was all jammed into the sill guards?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I even got the color wrong on that. I don't hate this one as much as I hate that one, I've got to say. I'm not quite as cynical, but wait till we get to the price of it.
I don't know. I like how there's 25 of them, right? I like the iconic fish silver grey color, which is, like Steve said, based on the first 356 that came in, or whatever it was. Those Aussie flag badges on the B-pillars, it's like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I couldn't live with that. I just don't like them.
They need to hire a better graphic designer. I'll do it for free. Give it to me and I'll do it. It's just so bad.
I don't know why. It's because we do, we're sort of, we look at these things a lot more than other people. I don't know what it is. I mean, I like the graphite blue interior. I like how it doesn't have black interior. I like the color of the leather. I'm not sure if I like those inserts.
Yeah, I'm very, very lukewarm on that. But I guess it's distinctive. Like that's probably one of the things that is going to make it, like, apart from the fish silver, like that differentiated from when all the other ones kind of come out, I suppose.
I mean, I like the crayon detail. The crayon, the marker on the steering wheel, I think, is in crayon, and and there's the gear shifts of the crayon stitch. I like that. I think it goes well with the graphite blue.
Yep.
The alloys look okay to me. The sill plates I have a problem with because once again, it reads GT3 70 years Porsche Australia edition. Now, like, how much can you fit on a door sill? I'm sorry, but there's just too much writing on that door sill and it looks wrong.
Yeah.
It looks wrong. And I know a lot of people get these custom door sills on their GT3, but honestly, don't do it. They look terrible. Those custom door sills, when you put your own name on them and they don't fill out the door sill, or there's too much, there's like your life story on the door sill, don't do it. Porsche should have a limit of numbers. They don't limit how many letters people can have on these things. Even they do it wrong, I don't know, Steve. I just like, it just, apart from that, you know what I mean? Apart from that, it's only that Australian flag and the door sills that bother me. And I'm not completely sold on the tartan inlays in the seats, but I guess I could live with it. It probably looks better in real life, I think, those seat inlays.
Yeah. That for me is just that I can't really remember tartan that I actually like, so it's just not to my taste. But
yeah, so this touring, like Steve said at the beginning, this was brought out for the 70 years of Porsche Australia. Porsche in Australia from the very first Porsche 70 years ago. It's priced at 494,400 Australian dollars, which is a lot.
So how much over a standard one is that?
Well, the standard touring, as I just said,
Yeah.
the standard touring in Australia is 326,800.
What?
Yes.
So it's like more than $100,000 premium.
Yeah. So for what you're getting, but you're getting
Whoa.
25, one of 25. So if you got number one, which I think has been sold already, and I'm not going to say it, but I think it's probably gone already. But I did hear, and I'm going to keep this part a bit secret, I did hear that on the road, if you want to buy one of these, it's about 535,000 Australian dollars.
Yeah, these are $500,000 cars.
That includes, that price of in Australia, the 494. Obviously, there's a lot of luxury car tax. Australia charges luxury car tax to protect the Australian automotive industry, which no longer exists, but it's still
doesn't
there.
exist anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, that's $101,000 Australian for the luxury car tax, which is part of that price, and then 25,000 on-road costs. So on-road costs aren't 10%; they're a little bit less. So basically, if you get that car as it is, how it comes, one of the 25 examples is going to cost you about 535,000 Australian dollars, where the basic touring, like we said, is 326, which is probably closer to 340 on the road. So it's a big premium.
Yeah, and like I was watching, I sort of don't really follow him that much, but what's his name? Matt at Obsessed Garage.
Oh yeah.
I watched a little video where he was kind of speccing. He's got the option to kind of get a new 992 touring, and he was admittedly kind of going blah blah blah, like he's not going to go over the top with this because it's sort of more like a daily. And even when he spec'd it out in American dollars, like, and not kind of going mental with anything, like no lightweight buckets and all of that type of thing, he still managed to add about 30,000 US on it.
Really?
So. Yeah. And it really wasn't, there was nothing kind of super crazy in his spec. He was fairly kind of Spartan sort of thing. So,
Wow.
So I don't know, like a touring, like if you kind of were lucky enough to get an allocation, probably would kind of get you to 400 quite easily. And then if you go super mental, like I think you're getting closer to this kind of $500,000.
I tell you what I did notice. I was talking to someone about 911Rs, and in Australia recently there was 3 911Rs for sale on car sales, and I think they range from 589 to early 600s, mid 600s, right?
Right.
And they dropped a lot. I looked the other day, 2 days ago. They've all gone. They've all disappeared. Now
at that price, 500-600, yeah, because
I think it was
cheap. They almost hit $1 million, didn't they?
Yeah, I think the silver and green one was 579 or 589. And I think now when you look at that, whoever bought that car has got a steal. I still think the 911R is going to jump back up to that $1 million mark. I still think it's going to be a really collectible car. And when you see the price of this Touring, like a number 25 Australian Edition Touring, I'd rather have the 911R.
Yeah. Look, we're obviously talking, well, for me at least, maybe not for you, but we're talking Fantasyland. I'm never going to be in this sort of position to even kind of consider all of this sort of stuff. But
but for me, I really like the 911R. From everything I hear about it, I think if you can get one at that price, it must be a great, great car. I've seen a couple, and I've seen a couple. I've seen one in London, and I've seen a couple in Australia at Scuderia. So.
Yeah. There was one on the street, remember parked outside the cafe across the road from where I used to live. That was sort of really interesting kind of seeing that thing in the wild. But
that's right.
They do look amazing.
Yeah, they do.
But what I was going to say was it sort of feels like that 911R is the thing that sort of started this whole kind of touring craze, because part of this conversation for me is that all of a sudden it seems like the Touring is the GT3 to kind of have. Like the prices of 991.2 Tourings apparently have just kind of gone sort of super crazy mental.
They've gone crazy in the US. Did you see that one that went for $350,000 or $360,000 US dollars?
Yeah, and I get it because apparently with a 991.2 they're more scarce, they're sort of a bit more rare and everything, but essentially even with this kind of generation, the list price is the same. Apparently there's not a great deal different in terms of the spec. There's all this speculation that the suspension was going to be softer on the 992 Touring, but AP and Frank Volliser kind of said on Instagram that they're exactly the same, and they don't really get what all the kind of kerfuffle is about.
Did you like the green one that AP was driving with that new gold wheel, whatever they call it? They don't call it Arum, they call it something else. What do they call it?
Yeah, Neodyne, is it?
Neodyne, is it?
Gold. Yeah,
I like that. I like that spec he was driving. That was pretty cool, the green one.
Yeah, but what I was going to say was that with the 911R, that kind of went mental because everybody, they kind of said, well, everybody was speculating that there was no such thing as a manual GT3 anymore, which is kind of why that sort of took off more than anything else. Then they kind of countered that crazy sort of the crazy prices on it and tried to unstitch that sort of situation by then releasing the touring model. But all of a sudden the Touring has sort of become this mega kind of sought after sort of thing, which to be honest, so if it was me with a 992, if I was fortunate enough to be in that position and I was choosing between the two right now, I think I'd probably choose the Touring over the sort of standard winged version.
I definitely would.
Probably an aesthetic point of view.
If I could order a 992 Touring, if I had the money, if you can get an allocation, in the perfect world. If I had the money, I would order a 992 Touring now. I would definitely order
over the other one. Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's a amazingly pretty car or anything like that. That rear bumper, the cutout in it, when you sort of look at it in profile particularly, it's quite weird and odd. And I'm still not a massive fan of the front end look of it as well, even though it's sort of body colored. But
I saw a 992 Carrera S in crayon or chalk, whatever you call it, whatever the color is, whatever state country it's in Canary Wharf the other day, going around the roundabout. I was very close to it walking. Looked amazing. It really looked good. I do like that color. I don't know if it just looks good in the UK, but it looked really amazing. It just had the standard sort of wheels, and it just looked so good, Steve. Really did look so good.
Yeah.
Really nice shape. The 992 is a really nice shape. I'm getting used to the back. It really does look better in life, the back. Maybe the Touring is the same. Maybe the GT3 is the same when you see it. I don't know.
It looks just sort of really kind of fat, and it's a bit more of a caricature sort of shape. But look, it's definitely kind of modernized, but it's just not as pretty. But yeah, I don't know. Just with this kind of whole sort of thing for Tourings, it is quite interesting because, I don't know, there's a lot of talk online. I was sort of just surfing the 992 GT3 forum on Renlist yesterday just to kind of get a bit of a taste of what people's kind of opinions were. And I think most people seem to kind of their opinions sort of fall in line with what you and I are sort of saying too, which is the standard one is a little bit over the top. They kind of prefer a little bit of the subtlety, more of the subtlety of the touring. But then there really is no difference, because now there's no difference between the suspension. There's no difference between manual or PDK. So, like, it really is sort of kind of splitting hairs to me a little bit.
Yeah, no, I was listening to, I do actually listen to a few of the episodes of the Car Chat podcast now, with that guy. What's his name? Sam
Moores. Yep.
Sam Moores. I don't like all of them, but I like some of them. And I listened to the Magnus Walker one, I think he said, and he was talking about, Sam Moores was talking about the GT3, because he has the GT3 RS, a 997.2 or whatever it is, 0.1 or 0.2.
Yep.
And even he said he's not really tempted to get the GT3. You know what I mean? I think that's what he said. And I think, like you said, a lot of people are sort of thinking about this. And I think it'd be interesting to see the sales figures between a touring package and the wing on the GT3. What's going to get the sales? I'm guessing the GT3 wing is still going to outsell the touring. But I think a lot more people are thinking about it. And I thought it was very interesting when I was watching TGE. I'll just quote him again, TGE TV, and the guy that's based in London, people that don't know who he is. Yep. That yellow Carrera T that he bought, the touring one, which he had on before and he bought another one. He said the other day that the prices in the last video, I don't know if you saw it, he said the prices have gone crazy in the last couple of months. He said the car is now, there's only like one or two available. And I remember when I was looking, there was heaps of them available when I was looking at prices. And he said that they're now £25,000 more. Yeah. Like, so this price thing with Porsche, it's just widespread.
It's with everything.
It's everything at the moment. It's like the bubble.
I get a bit tired of talking about it, because like pretty much like what Porsche isn't apart from Macan.
But is this going to turn people away from Porsche though? Is this going to, no, apart from SUVs, but is this going to turn people away from Porsche where it just becomes, I don't know, you know what I mean? Is it going to stabilize? Is it going to come back down? Like when air-cooled prices went crazy and they came back down a bit, remember? They did come down and now they've sort of gone back up again. It's a cycle.
I don't think it'll ever, it's sort of like, I think you asked me a couple of podcasts ago, is it ever going to crash? Like, I don't know, if you're paying $250,000 for a 964,
I think that's too much.
Maybe you can't get your $250,000 back, but like eventually.
I keep going back, that 964, the green one, and I know the person that bought it, I remember seeing it online in Melbourne, and it was 149,000 Australian dollars, and this was only just over a year ago, or just when I got to Bahrain. Maybe it's 2019, I don't know, but say 2 years ago. And they've gone up by 100,000. The prices are now, in the 200s.
Yeah, look, that's the price of a GT3. And I've owned a 964 and I've owned a GT3.
And what would you take?
Which one I'd choose.
Yeah, exactly.
I certainly know which one I'd choose. But I'm assuming that, see, like when you're getting to that point, maybe you don't have, maybe you've got like a GT3 in the garage. When you're paying $250,000 for a 964, maybe you've actually already kind of got one of the other ones. So you're not really kind of choosing between the two, like, because you're in sort of quite wealthy sort of.
What comes first, I guess, isn't it? What comes first? What do you choose? But anyway, the touring package for the 992 generation GT3, I mean, I think we're sold on it. We both like it. I mean, like we said, Steve, it's still got the bonnet, the distinctive GT3 bonnet scoop things. Doesn't have the swan neck spoiler, of course, for people that don't know. Most people know this. It's got that cleaner silhouette. Spoiler comes up at speeds like usual. It's got the GT3 Touring on the back where the engine is, like the old one. I don't know how they've done it any differently, but it says GT3 Touring, doesn't it? You can get 6-speed manual or PDK. That's if you're not in California. California has this thing where it's some outdated noise regulation in the Californian Golden State or something that disqualifies the manual GT3 for legal sale in California. I don't know how.
They do a noise test it's in fourth gear or something like that. So it dates back where I think fourth or fifth gear was, like arguably the highest kind of gear in a manual car. And it doesn't pass that test. But like when you test an automatic car, it's in top gear. So that's how like a standard, like a PDK kind of passes, but it's an antiquated kind of regulation.
Yeah, and I did read an article yesterday, and I just wrote bits and pieces from it, but it said that Porsche did assure us that the regulations in the process of being updated, but not before the 2022 model year concludes. But then at the same breath, they said they gave no guarantee that a manual GT3 would ever make it to California. I think it's not going to make it to California. So it's scary because isn't California one of the biggest states for sales of Porsches? I think it's one of the biggest sales states.
I'd say so because there's such a massive car culture there. But then again, when you sort of read some of the chatter online, a lot of the guys in California, like, because that's where, Matt Farah and Johnny Lieberman and all those guys are kind of based, they sort of joke about the fact that half the kind of expensive cars in California are, is it Montana plates? Because
the tax reduction or whatever.
Yeah. So, like, most of the cars actually...
So I guess you can just buy it in Montana and drive it in.
Yeah, so heaps of the kind of people that probably can afford to buy these cars have these little loopholes anyway. Like, tons of people driving around on Montana plates and other kind of plates anyway.
Yeah. Anything else about the Touring?
No, I was just going to sort of say, like, just in principle, this kind of Touring thing, I don't know, like... The reverse argument, like where people are kind of going, oh, why would you buy a GT3 if it doesn't have a spoiler on it? Because that's the whole kind of premise of it.
Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why you'd buy it?
Yeah, you go.
Because the Touring package matches the regular GT3 for speed. There's no different. Acceleration and top speed figures for the Touring package is exactly the same as the Wing GT3. I think it's 3.9 or 3.8 seconds. In manual. And I think the top speed was almost, is it 198 or 199 miles per hour or something like that? It's the same.
Yep. But none of us ever hit top speed, like, unless we're in Germany on an Autobahn, and even then sounds like it's a bit harder to kind of do.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Just because it's got a wing doesn't mean it goes any faster. It's actually the same. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, and all I was... It's just interesting, the evolution of a GT3, because, like, we're talking, how long has it been around now? 20-something years?
996. So what's that, 20 years? 21 years?
Yeah.
22 years.
Well, when you
1999.
When you think about when it was first released, it really was a homologation kind of thing. Like, it was for, like, track guys, motorsport things. So I guess, like, you think about the experience my uncle had where... Back in those days, like, the dealer told him, oh, it's not for you, because, like, they really were kind of going, this car is for people that really want to take their car to the track sort of thing, and it's not like an everyday kind of street car. Then, as it evolved, like a 997 sort of had traction control and those sorts of things. It still was more like a track car, but, like, you could drive it to the track, fang around and then drive home again, and it was all kind of cool, no trailering. It had PASM, so, it became more and more kind of comfortable. I'm not sure they really ever marketed it as a car that you could literally kind of daily. But obviously a 991, definitely, because it was PDK and it was far more comfortable and stuff like that. That became sort of like a daily car as such. You could use it daily if you really, really wanted to. And this is sort of technology. I suppose the same thing kind of applies to M3 is probably like the wrong analogy, but it is very sort of similar. So, like, when you think about it, like, a GT3 back in the day really was like the kind of bill-winged kind of track car, but it really has kind of evolved with the times. And I kind of can understand this whole sort of touring thing, but it's just changing. I guess it's just changing, isn't it? It also sort of feels like it. Back in those days, it was a much narrower kind of market. Like, the audience for a GT3 was far, far narrower. And now, because it's become this thing into its own, like, everybody kind of wants one, so they've had to make it more accessible, less polarizing, less specific.
But even when you bought your car only 7 years ago, it was still a lot narrower. You know what I mean? There was still a lot less people into it. It was the 991 that where it all started, wasn't it? It was the 991 that kind of started the push. Look, I like the Touring. When it came out in 2017, I think I did a YouTube video, and I think I might have not been so impressed with it. I thought it was a bit, why would they want to do it? I understand it more now, and I think it's great, and I would take one. Out of all the range of the new 911s, and money was no object, I would definitely take the 911 Touring package, GT3 Touring package. I didn't realize, though, Steve, that the Touring package actually came back. It was in Porsche's history from, did you read this? The 911 Carrera RS from model year 1973. That's where touring package came from. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you did, because like that's the classic. Yeah,
Is
you
it?
did. Like the classic 73 RS.
But it was a touring package? I didn't realize it was called touring package.
Was just like similar conversation with 997, where it's got more comfortable seats.
Oh, that was it.
I don't know what else like was in there, like sort of slightly modified. It was just a slightly different, like because they're seats for touring, like for long trips and everything. So.
And I would leave in the touring package GT3. I'm guessing you can option it with lightweight buckets. I would keep the standard seats. I wouldn't get the lightweight buckets.
I'd get the buckets.
I wouldn't. I'd leave it, I think.
Yeah. No, I definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You're right, actually, because then you can put the inserts in it. You can get the Pepita inserts. Maybe you're right.
I think that one's very specific to people.
I think ceramics, and maybe lightweight buckets. That's it.
Yeah. The seats are I was just going to say that I think that's very specific to people's kind of body shape. Like I'm taking a guess that, like I'm only sort of, 5'9", if that. I'm 5'9", 5'9.5", pretty sort of skinny. So buckets sort of suit me perfectly. Like I can fit in it quite well. It's very comfortable. The thing about it is I'm assuming that it is a little bit harder to kind of get in and out of the car, but there's a trick to it. Like,
it's the same as any Porsche.
You rest your hand on the door sill.
Yeah.
You rest your hand on your door sill, you push up with your arm, and then you don't rub against the bolster. It's not that bad. I
know you told me that, and I do that all the time now. I do that all the time. It's the easiest way to get out of my car, even when I get in. Cause,
a lot of people complain about how impractical they kind of are on an everyday scale, and I don't really sort of think that, but maybe I'm a bit more kind of careful or whatever. So
you're probably right. It's probably good. You get manual though, right? You wouldn't get PDK.
Yeah, has to be manual.
No, I think it's good. I think Porsche's done it again. I mean, like I said, if you can get an allocation, which you probably can't, and then you still have to have the money to pay for it. So anyone that gets one, I think, has got a great car. That's for sure. But it's interesting. This touring package, Steve. Prices are going crazy, like you said, for the 991.2. The demand for this is going to be crazy. Even the 911 Carrera T, entry level, that special one which people overlooked. The prices are going up on that. And then the 911R we know is going to go back up in price again as well. So it's, it's look what happened to the Sport Classic 997. No one wanted them, and they were sitting there for low money for quite some time, and then they just went crazy. Yeah.
What color would you get?
GT silver.
You did? It's quite
I don't know.
I quite like it.
You know what? In Australia, I just tell the listener, there's a couple of 911 Carrera S's for sale in Australia at the moment. Have a look. Mm-hmm. I think there's one at, it could be at Scuderia, I don't know, and there's a private sale. There's a lava orange 911 Carrera S. Mm-hmm. There's a Miami blue 911 Carrera S. Mm-hmm. And then there was another one I saw. But I don't know why, that Miami blue in just the standard 991.2 Carrera S looks really cool. Like it's just just nice not to see it in a grey, white, black, It's just, I don't know. I think the blue's better than the orange. I think the blue really suits it. It just makes it a little bit more special. You know what I mean?
Speaking of orange cars, I don't think it was lava. There was a picture online of a standard 992 GT3, the new one, but somebody took the wing off it. It was orange, the orange one. Did you see that?
I didn't see it.
It looked quite good. So somebody had basically kind of taken the swan neck wing off, but it's still got that little kind of ducktail spoiler lip, and it actually looks quite cool.
David's orange is nice. I think he said it was signal orange.
Signal? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what he told me it was. I just want to do one thing before we go, Steve, because we're almost at the end. Mm-hmm. I just want to do a shout out, Steve. I did a post on my Instagram on PorscheCooled. If you haven't been to PorscheCooled before on Instagram, go across and follow. I just want to do a shout out for Rint Vehicle Design in the UK. Rint has a lot of great cars. Brian reached out to me, and I just want to read this out. He has a charity full track day at Thruxton on the 1st of July. It's for charity. And it's on the 1st of July. You have to contact him. So I guess the best thing to do is go to Rint Vehicle Design on Instagram. If you go to Rint Vehicle Design on Instagram, just send him a DM. But it's a track day in aid of skin cancer, July the 1st, and it's at the Thruxton circuit 1st of July. It's limited spaces, Porsche only event, and that's on. He asked me if I was going, and I said, no, I have to work. So that's just a bit of a shout out there because I really like Rin Vehicle Design. I love the cars they have. And I know that Simon Jessup, the photographer in the UK that I speak to, he takes a lot of photographs for Brian, and I think that's how Brian heard about me and reached out to me. So just wanted to say that. And I
noticed they're working on TGEs.
The Targa. That was a bit of a mess, wasn't it? It looked like it was a good example, and it had so much rust in that car.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it just kind of goes to show you can't really just because you can't sort of see it visually.
That's the problem, isn't it?
I'd never seen that type of thing on restoration, like the metalwork. That French guy sort of doing his craftsmanship on sort of cutting, bits of panel out and then sort of shaping and everything.
He was doing a good job, wasn't he? He was doing a good job. Did you hear that on
cool.
Spike about Zuckerman talking about his Speedster, how it's been with Will Hoyt restoration in the US for 4 years? But did you hear what it was? It wasn't really Will Hoyt's work that was holding it up. It's there's only a handful of really good metalworkers. Did you hear that?
Oh, okay.
And he said the metalworking is really like such a specialist thing, and there's only a handful of them. So you're booked in. But if someone more important comes in above you, then they'll just take your spot. So a lot of the waiting time.
More important than Zuckerman, apart from Seinfeld.
But a lot of the waiting time is for the specialist body workers to that's just crazy. Imagine having a car 4 years. 4 years in restoration.
Well, luckily for Zuckerman, he's got like 4 million other cars.
And the price has gone up probably double since he bought it as well. You know what I mean? And you have so many other cars. I was thinking about...
He's got plenty of other nice cars to tool around in.
Oh, he's got so many. I was thinking about the colour in the GT3 Touring, Steve, before we go.
Yep.
I've got this thing for Dolomite. Is it Dolomite Silver at the moment? I don't know why. I think it was from Jerry Seinfeld talking about it. And I still really like that blue. And I like it in the GT3 with the wing, actually. Genetian, is it? Gentian blue metallic. I really
Genital blue? You mean genital blue?
Genitan blue metallic. I really like that. I like it with the black satin black wheels on the GT3. If you go to the configurator and put it in, it looks pretty special. And I think if you get the carbon ceramics with the yellow brakes, it'll look even better than the red brakes. So that would be my choice, I think. What would you get?
Yeah, I think I'd go like something like a GT Silver, or still like that, whatever it was, Thetis Azura, sort of like silvery blue.
Yeah, nice, I mean, it's all PTS colors too. You can pick whatever you want. You pick a Ferrari color.
Yeah, just the Ferrari. I think it looks better in sort of subtle colors. So that's what I would do. But I'm never going to be in that spot. So,
all right. Touring. That's the end of the touring episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Steve and I enjoyed talking about it. Like I said, we're not really late. We're sort of just, it's just the way the podcast worked out each week. But
it's all cool.
It's all good. All right, Steve, let's call it a day. Thanks, mate.
Cool, mate. All good. Take care. Have a good week.
Yep, you too.
Don't burn too much money.
Yeah, I know. Don't earn too much or spend too much?
Burn.
Yeah, it's going to burn very quickly, less. I tell you. It's going to burn very, very quickly. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to the PorscheCooled Podcast. My name is Michael Barth. That was Steve coming in from Sydney, Australia. That's about it. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.